So 2025 was a wild year for Bitcoin, right? We're going to unpack that pivotal year and look at the dramatic series of events that tied a new presidential administration directly to Bitcoin's incredible price movements. How exactly did what happened in Washington, D.C. send such massive shockwaves through the crypto market? Let's get right into it.
You know, this statement from the summer of 2025 really set the whole tone. You have the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, flat out saying a comprehensive crypto agenda was on its way. This was more than just a change in attitude. It was a massive signal to the entire market that, hey, a huge shift was coming.
And this story really kicks off on day one, literally day one of the new administration. The market's reaction, it wasn't slow, it wasn't subtle, it was immediate and incredibly powerful.
I mean, just look at how fast this happened. It's pretty striking. Market analysts pointed this out. The moment Donald Trump was inaugurated, Bitcoin just surged 9%. It blew past its old highs and was already knocking on the door of $110,000. So we're not talking about a slow burn here. This was an absolute explosion of market optimism.
Okay, so that initial market buzz was great, but it was quickly followed up with real concrete action. The new administration didn't waste any time at all, turning that inaugural optimism into official government policy, right from the Oval Office.
Just 3 days in, a new executive order drops. And this wasn't some minor tweak. It was a total reset. It completely replaced the previous administration's cautious, risk-focused approach with a crystal-clear mandate to actively support the growth of digital assets.
Now, one of the first moves was also one of the most technical, but stick with me because this was huge. The administration got rid of something called Staff Accounting Bulletin 121. It sounds boring, I know, but this obscure rule had basically made it impossible for big banks to hold crypto for their clients. Why does that matter? Because getting rid of it was like flipping a giant green light for Wall Street to pour into the space, potentially bringing trillions of dollars with it.
So, a new executive order is one thing, right? But the real test, what the market was really waiting for, was who would be enforcing it. All eyes turned to the top cop on the beat, the SEC.
But it wasn't all just a straight shot to the moon. After that first inauguration spike, things cooled off. Bitcoin's price actually took a pretty big hit, dropping over 30% down to around $74,000 by early April. This was the first real test of all that newfound confidence.
And then, everything changed. On April 10th, the Senate confirmed Paul Adkins as the new SEC chair. And boom, the price immediately jumped 10%. When he was officially sworn in a little later, it popped another 6%. The market's message here was loud and clear. They loved the new sheriff in town.
And this wasn't just about a new face at the top. The new SEC leadership took immediate, decisive action. They put together a brand new crypto task force. They dropped some major lawsuits against key industry players. And they started opening up the conversation with public roundtables. This was a complete 180 in strategy.
So you've got this momentum from the White House. You've got it from the SEC. The next logical step was for it to spill over into Congress. The whole goal was to take this new pro-crypto stance and turn it into permanent law.
And they did it in a pretty dramatic way. In what legal experts were calling a historically significant move, House leadership dedicated an entire week in mid-July to just one thing: passing crypto legislation. This was a massive, coordinated push to finally build a clear rulebook for digital assets in the U.S.
Two big bills were at the center of Crypto Week. The first one went after stablecoins, which are really the bedrock of the whole crypto economy. The second was all about bringing some much-needed clarity to the entire market. And on July 17th, both of them sailed right through the House.
So first up was the Genius Act, and this was a huge deal. It created the very first clear federal rules for stablecoins. If you think of stablecoins as the plumbing of the crypto market, regulating them meant securing the whole foundation. It gave big players the confidence to build on top, and it was passed and signed into law super quickly on July 18th.
Next up was the Clarity Act. This one tackled the multi-billion-dollar question that had been plaguing the industry for years. Is a crypto token a security, like a stock, or a commodity, like gold? The answer changes everything about how it's regulated. By creating clear definitions, this law aimed to finally end all that uncertainty that had been holding back so much progress.
Okay, so you take this whirlwind of executive orders, new regulators, and these landmark laws. You put it all together. What was the grand total? What was the cumulative effect on the market?
Well, the result was absolutely explosive. With regulatory clarity finally in place and all that institutional money flooding in, Bitcoin's price didn't just recover, it rocketed to a new all-time high, blowing past the $120,000 mark.
So really, the key takeaway here is that 2025 wasn't about just one thing. It was this perfect storm, a coordinated effort across all branches of the U.S. government. You had the White House, the SEC, and Congress all pushing in the same direction. And that directly fueled the market confidence that led to this historic run.
And all of this leaves us with a really provocative question that's being debated all over the industry right now. See, for years, Bitcoin has kind of operated on this predictable 4-year boom and bust cycle. But with such a powerful new force, U.S. government policy, in the driver's seat, has that fundamental market cycle been broken for good?